Liverpool losing to Burnley by a final score of 1-0. A late penalty for Ashley Barnes, the difference. And this result significant on so many levels. 4 matches in a row without a goal in the league for Liverpool. A 68-match home unbeaten streak snapped. You got to go back to early 2017, almost 4 years ago for the last time Liverpool lost a Premier League game at Anfield. They now sit 6 points off the league lead. For more perspective, we welcome in Stewart Robson, Shaka, Hislop, Julien, Robbo, I'll start with you. What's gone wrong at Liverpool?
Well, in the last few games, the final pass hasn't been quite good enough. They haven't played with the fluency. Today, they got it into some very good areas. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold must have had the ball 20, 30 times inside the Burnley box with time to pick out a cross or play a cross into the box, and he picked out the wrong option. And the movement in the box, particularly in the first half, wasn't good enough. Origi wanted to come short at times and rather making dynamic runs. Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was playing on the right-hand side, is not really a front player, so his movement wasn't great in the box. And Mane was trying to make the right sort of runs, but the deliveries from Trent Alexander-Arnold weren't good enough. He should have just been whipping balls in between the goalkeeper and the back four and allowing people to make runs into it. He was trying to pick people out. So they're lacking confidence at the moment. You can tell that as the game wore on. And I thought it was a disappointing display from Liverpool.
Shaka, wasn't for a shortage of opportunities, perhaps nothing more symbolic of Liverpool recently than that Origi miss, handed an opportunity and couldn't put it in.
Yeah, it was a rather ridiculous defensive error that led Origi in, and he had a lot of ground to cover before taking the chance on. And let's be honest, as good as Nick Pope was all game long, he shouldn't have stood a chance. But Origi went for a little bit too much pace, got the other side of the crossbar. But it kind of summed Liverpool up over recent weeks. They've been getting opportunities, but I just feel too many in that squad seem to have misplaced their shooting boots.
Jules, I think it was earlier this week, Jurgen Klopp said it's not a catastrophe. Is it a catastrophe now?
It's crisis, certainly. I don't know if he thinks that or if he will feel that it's a catastrophe, but there's a point where I think you have to be worried. And if you're Jurgen Klopp, and you saw his frustration at half-time when he had that argument with Sean Dyche when they were coming into the tunnel to go into the dressing room at half-time. And it shows on Klopp, it shows on the players that not only they've lost confidence, but tonight there was nothing in that game. There was no energy, there was no press, there was no ideas, there was a lack of efficiency in both boxes. There was just nothing. I mean, they had 40 crosses, only 3 were successful. 3 out of 40. Are you kidding me? They've got the 2 best fullbacks in the world, well, arguably, and they can't even get a good cross right. I mean, this was one of the worst performances I've seen from Liverpool in a very, very long time.
Robbo, Jules mentions the interaction, and that's a nice way of putting it, between Sean Dyche and Jurgen Klopp at halftime. It's not the first explosion we've seen this season from the German manager. It seems like there's always something that has him upset. What do you make of Klopp's continuing frustration?
I don't think he's handling the pressure particularly well. We've seen it all season. We've seen him moan about the fixture list. We've seen him moan about injuries. We've seen him moan about a lack of 5 substitutions. We've seen him moan about other teams getting more penalties than Liverpool have got. He's now taking it out on the players as well. He's moaning. His actual demeanour hasn't been good. And I think that rubs off on the players. And I think it rubs off on the opposition who see that they're getting at Liverpool at the moment. And Liverpool aren't the confident side. Jurgen Klopp has been at his best when he's all smiles, he's happy, he's compliments the opposition, he cajoles his own players. That's when he's at his best. At the moment, he seems as though he's got a problem with the world and everything about it. So I think Jurgen Klopp needs to have a look at himself and just change the way he's managing at the moment.
Shaka, after the match, Klopp came out and said it was his fault they lost today. You agree?
I'm not sure what more Jurgen Klopp could have done, in all honesty. On the day, as the boys have rightly pointed out, they had possession, they had opportunities, but the final ball just wasn't there. I think quite clearly what you're seeing are bigger issues to Liverpool right now. That front 3 that have been so reliable, and I know they didn't all start, but they all finished. But that front 3 who had been so reliable for the last 2 or 3 seasons, all of a sudden firing blanks. And then he has to try to change things, try to rotate, in giving some of them a rest, maybe giving others an opportunity. Origi is not the answer. And as much as Liverpool and Klopp were linked with Timo Werner for a lot of last season, given how we started at Chelsea, maybe they dodged a bullet there. But it showed that they don't have real depth on the bench to go to give players a rest or to change things or just to shake things up. And that maybe is Jurgen Klopp's burden to bear. That being said, if you're a team of Burnley and you're highly sought after, or any other player, you're highly sought after by Europe's big clubs, given what Liverpool, or given how good Liverpool have been for the last 2 seasons, you think you just go in there to fit in, to be a bit part player, and that maybe isn't the right option. So it was a tough time for Liverpool to strengthen, and now that's maybe coming back to haunt them.
Robo, it's 5 games now where neither Roberto, Firmino or Mo Salah have scored. They didn't start the match today. Do you think that was a mistake from Klopp?
I'm not sure it's a mistake. He must know whether they're fully fit or whether they needed a rest or whatever. I thought when Mo Salah came on, he had 1 or 2 good opportunities. At least he was making forward runs. At least he was trying to make things happen. He was playing off the front, trying to get it again. Firmino didn't really do too much. He had a chance when Trent Alexander had a shot and he tried to deflect it goalwards. But Firmino didn't affect the game. I thought Mo Salah did try and affect the game and looked probably their best player when he did come on. But what he didn't do, Jurgen Klopp, he made those changes to the team, but there was no energy. Jules just mentioned there was no real energy around the side. When Henderson, who apparently is not fully fit, and Milner are playing, they play with that drive in midfield, they win the ball back. But when you've got Diogo and Shaqiri and Wijnaldum, who wasn't at his best today, there wasn't that dynamism in midfield. So that was one of the problems.
At the end of the day, this match decided by the late penalty. Alisson seemed to not think he was guilty. Shaka, was he?
Yes, he was. Alisson actually didn't catch Barnes with his hands, but he missed the ball, and then his momentum takes him into Barnes. Maybe Barnes wanted to hurdle Alisson. He could have, but that's not his responsibility. If Alisson is committed and his momentum is taking him into the striker, it's not on the striker to avoid that contact. Penalty for me.
Robbo, for you?
I can see why the referee gave it. I thought Barnes actually then put his foot down to try and make contact with Alisson, but once the referee had given it, it wasn't going to be overturned. So, yeah, I'll go along with it.
Jules, Jurgen Klopp hasn't always prioritized the FA Cup in his time at Liverpool, but with the odds of winning the league perhaps dwindling, do you think maybe some of the decisions today, as far as the lineup are concerned, were with an eye towards Sunday and the game against Manchester United?
100%. I don't think there's any doubt that if Salah and Firmino are on the bench tonight, is because they are going to start on Sunday against United, because they also were tired before the game, and you think at home against Burnley, this is a good opportunity to give them a rest, like Salah was rested against Crystal Palace and on the bench and only came on late. Those kind of games, they can't play every single game, and also, as we've been saying many times on the show, they were tired. There was a need for rotation in that team, for players to come in, to try to step in. It didn't work out, but there's no doubt that they were on the bench because they would start on Sunday, and because Klopp always had in his mind, and probably Henderson, I think they didn't take any risk with Henderson tonight to keep him and make sure that he's ready for Sunday as well. So of course that played a big part. Let's say they had played the League 2 game on Sunday, it would have been a very different lineup tonight, I think.
Shaka, do you think in some way it's an admission from Klopp that maybe the chances of winning the Premier League aren't quite what they were a month ago, and now the FA Cup is their best shot at a trophy?
Yes, but also when you're in the middle of a bad run, and let's not try to disguise the fact that Liverpool most certainly are, you want these games to just even for a change of pace, and to get 90 minutes, a good 90 minutes, get a win and get things back on track. I think especially in the early rounds of the FA Cup, that can prove really beneficial to teams like Liverpool, who maybe are struggling for form right now.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.